What up, y'all? Shabbat Shalom. We are here for our weekend reflection message where we are tying up this week's lessons and themes with some in-depth analysis. From the Radiant Sun Oracle, we have the Moon in Cancer, friendship. We have Mercury in Gemini, which is excitement. And we have Jupiter in Scorpio, manipulation. So we've got two planets in their home signs here, or celestial bodies, I should say. And then under friendship, we have the Wheel of Fortune. Underneath excitement, we have Two of Cups. And underneath manipulation, we have Three of Pentacles. Now the manipulation card, because it's called manipulation, it can sound really misleading. It's not so much to do with manipulation, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. So let's start with our Moon in Cancer. So I'm feeling right now like the energy on an individual level. In the collective level, the energy is still what it is. Pretty much like the Book of Revelations, the tribulations right now. There is just so much upheaval and chaos on the planet. But I feel that for this collective, on a personal level, we are, in general, we're like grieving for the planet, but I think that we've gotten our bearings as far as being able to cope and recenter ourselves and find our rhythm again. Find our focus. Start moving forward with awareness, consciousness, and intention. So there is this sense of, in this moment, I feel like the beginnings of getting our footing, feeling emotional, like some emotional stability, or at least like leveling out, some emotional neutrality at the very least. And we are longing for a sense of security, but I think more clear about how we can create more security and build a sense of security for ourselves, like real security, not false illusions and false safety nets, right? So I think that we figured out that it's not going to be outside of us. We're not going to be able to rely on, the things that we materially just took for granted. But we do know now that we can always rely on the Creator. We've established that strong connection and that belief and that faith, right? And so that has spilled out into our, I think, closest relationships, where we are healing those intimate relationships and intimate ties and our close-knit inner circles and close communities. But I really do think that we're healing like old family wounds and even generational curses, sins of the generation. But I think now that we're finding what makes us feel more secure. And so I think we're starting to build things that are of long, like eternal value, and not just what gives us this illusion of material security and stability. Because I think that we know now that it's an illusion, that it can be taken at any time. So our Cancer and the Moon rule our emotions. They rule our closest relationships, our sense of intimacy, our sense of home, how we nurture, how we comfort, how we create a sense of safety and home and nourishment, right? And I think that's on the forefront of our minds right now. And the contrast of the fact that in the world right now, it feels like there is less security, less nourishment, less home than ever in the world. I mean, we're seeing images coming out of the Middle East from Gaza, and the thoughts have just been with me all day. I'm just like going on my errands and going and buying groceries. I feel so deeply appreciative for what I have, and I've noticed any kind of complaint that I have today and yesterday about being inconvenienced or anything like that, not respecting what I have, when there are people in the world that have nothing right now. And so I think just a new awareness, a new appreciation of that, a new humility around that as well, but a deeper appreciation and understanding around feeling secure and nurturing those around you and appreciating those around you and making and wanting the people around you to feel safe. I think we're starting to have a greater sense of awareness and compassion for the vulnerability of others. And so I think it's spilled out even into, like, say, feeling vulnerable or feeling compassion for other people's vulnerability, like say in an extreme situation like the Middle East. It almost translates because everything is connected inside of us. It's like it's allowing us to soften and forgive things, and make sure that the people around us, it's like we're more compassionate to their vulnerability and their pain on a local level as well too. So I think the more that we heal those wounds, I think it's adding to the way that our life is opening up and expanding. And it's also helping us dissolve the hard feelings around those maybe difficult memories from the past, which is letting us let go of a lot of weight that's blocking us and holding us back from our blessings. Because we've got the Wheel of Fortune here. So I feel that they're in that healing and letting go and release. And in this, like, kind of finding like a little bit of grounding and emotional sobriety within all of the turmoil in the world right now, this growing sense of learning how to master our sense of well-being, or to establish that sense of well-being, and knowing how to do that through the tools that we've been collecting. Breath work, meditation, prayer, studying sacred texts and scriptures, connecting to even just the awareness that God is with us, sending those prayers and those intentions to others as well. All of that deepens our connection, deepens our sense of security and peace. I think too, opening up our flow and expansion of our fortune, like a turn of our fortune right now, is coming from an ability to accept where we are in this moment, be at peace and find peace with where we are, without giving up, but practicing release and surrender and grace and acceptance like that. That act of surrender and trust is really allowing for an influence of expansion and good fortune and abundance to come in. Because it's like right now, it's as if we are awakening into like this, it's like we've been resurrected. I don't know if you guys watched The Chosen, but when Lazarus is resurrected in season 5, it's like one of the last episodes, he's like, he's really disoriented, for a minute. And it takes him a little bit of time to get his bearings and to like gather himself and his wherewithal again. And so it's kind of like that. It's like our old self has died away. We're approaching this alchemical marriage where our up-leveled self is allowing us to be that much closer to God because we're sharing more affinity with God, right? We're approaching the holiday of Shavuot, which is the day that the Israelites were gathered around Mount Sinai and God gave them the Torah that day. It was the alchemical wedding of the merging of the spiritual and the material. The Logos, with the bridegroom, the bride and the bridegroom, the Logos with the understanding, the wisdom and the understanding. So during that time when they received the Torah, they were experiencing all of these miracles and health and well-being and eternity and immortality and growing back legs and arms and having spontaneous healings during this time because they were so unified and they were so, they had so much unencumbered faith. It was just absolute certainty and trust. Right? So we're approaching this holiday, which is Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And so we're kind of culminating this period of the Omer, which is that, that period of challenge, reflection, spiritual alchemy and up-leveling and overcoming our darkness and shedding those layers to reveal more of our true self. Well, the more of our true self that we reveal and the more of this negativity that we can break away and peel away, then we're revealing more of who we truly are, our authentic vibration. And so then that way we can actually align with our higher destiny, that like divine plan for our life, right? We're all becoming familiar with ideas of multiple realities, right? Different timelines. Well, we understand that resonance, right? The law of attraction, like attracts like. And when something resonates, those waves can be together, but if they're dissonant, then they can't mesh, they can't merge, right? So say that there is a timeline that is already playing out where your higher self is in that timeline, in that reality, and it's your perfected personality on earth, you as a person, but you're like in your total divinity. None of your hangups are there anymore. None of your baggage, none of your fear or your scarcity or your insecurity, none of it. And so you're completely unencumbered. Well, in that timeline, you're your true authentic self. So everything that is naturally a part of your gifts, you're just being able to express it and you're in your flow. And that reality, it's like you can express more of your potential. You don't have as hard of a time. You don't have the procrastination or the failure to pay attention to detail or follow through. It's like you're capable of doing it in that timeline, right? So the more that we become like that higher self, the greater affinity we share with that higher self, the more we can closer, slide by slide in the carousel wheel, we get closer to that timeline where we're living in that divine plan, that divine timeline. And so that is that full expression of that higher self. And so until then, we're just getting there layer by layer, slide by slide. If you've ever seen like slides in a carousel for like a slideshow, it's like there's all these slides lined up in this carousel, one after the other, after another. And it's like our reality changes ever so slightly the more that we change, right? The more that we become more like the creator and give up our old self, our old negativity. So we have been in the midst of this big overhaul, and now it's as if the things are starting to come into fruition. It's like we're just now like resurrecting Lazarus, and where we had that Gemini new moon, it's like our consciousness is the new consciousness is coming online. Wow. And now we're gathering our wherewithal, but things can really expand in this new timeline because we're embodying that up level. We're starting to come into that up level. Now, Gemini here, Mercury in its home sign of Gemini, this is like all of our inspiration and our energy and our curiosity and our sense of adventure and playfulness is coming back. And this is what is like adding fuel to our ability to manifest. Two of the best manifestors in the zodiac are Gemini and Aries. Aries is that fire, that birth, that starter energy. And Gemini is that air that's like adding fuel to the fire, right? Gemini is ideas, curiosity, a desire for knowledge and exploration and adventure, a desire to experiment, right? And so Gemini is the twins. It also represents the Lover's card. And so what has happened in this Gemini new moon is we've come to this impasse. We've come to this Y point in the road where we can no longer go down the path of the old self. We cannot continue on that timeline. So now it's like we have to choose, okay, our choices have to embody this higher self. The two twins, the warring twins within ourselves of Gemini, we figured out how to bring our internal nature out of chaos, out of conflict, into harmony, right? Into peace, into self-acceptance, into a state of God's rest. We finally gave it a rest, right? And so now things are finally shifting and they're coming together because the good twin, the stronger twin, the higher self twin is starting to become more influential on our like in between realms, like this present, like the material self, where our higher self is becoming more influential on us than the opponent is influential on our lower carnal nature, right? And so because of that, things are really moving forward. Things are shifting. Our ideas are getting us excited, and we're starting to have more clarity around executing those things and manifesting those things than ever before. There's less holding us back. There's less blocking us. There's less getting in the way. So it's getting more exciting. So we're really stoking that curiosity again. There's a lot that is awaiting us. It's just now is the time for us to get excited and get back to it again and feel a renewed, refreshed sense of energy to put into the effort that we're putting into our dreams and our goals and our purpose and our gifts. And I think too, because of that, we're going to starting to attract new variables and elements into our life, which is going to bring us new love, right? This is going to refresh the love that exists in our life currently and bring in new partners, new people, new friends, new romances, possibly new serious relationships, maybe a soulmate partnership, who knows? But we're going to have like refreshed relationships and connections within our family and within our friend groups and within our workplaces and things like that. Maybe we're going to be meeting new friends and kindred spirits. So it's when we are becoming more fully our true selves, it's like we're honing in our frequency and our radio dial is getting clearer. So our signal is getting, it's a stronger signal for others that are trying to tune into that same wavelength to catch, right? And so we have the manipulation card here, which is Jupiter in Scorpio. And this is more about like being able to fake it until you make it, right? So there's kind of like two folds to this. The Three of Pentacles is with this card. So I feel like we're feeling things starting to happen, even if we can't see it yet. It's like we have a sense that things are coming through, but not quite yet. And we might feel like a little bit unsure of ourselves or a little hesitant, or we might second guess ourselves and be like, maybe I'm just, imagining this. And it's like, no, you're catching on to something intuitively. And so your soul is leading you in this direction. You can feel this growth coming. Three of Pentacles is like your projects and your efforts are starting to get legs. people are starting to recognize you for whatever you're offering, whether it be your talents, your skill, but they see that and they can appreciate what you're doing and what you're crafting and what you're creating, and they want to build with you. They want to work with you. So in the meantime, and this could have something specifically to do with your understanding of the esoteric things of life, the metaphysical things, the understanding of spirituality and the hidden wisdoms and the mystery schools. But this is definitely expansion because it's Jupiter with Scorpio. It's like expansion coming through death and rebirth and transformation. And it's like people out on the outside, like they can see the metamorphosis happening, right? So it's like, have confidence in yourself, like keep going through, to keep taking the steps. Don't second guess yourself. But you're being led in a positive and like correct direction. It's just, it feels precarious right now because there's nothing really solid to grab onto. But just keep believing, keep moving forward. But I believe things are really coming together, and they're coming together the more that we forgive, the more that we repair relationships, the more that we heal, the more that we let go and surrender and trust in the moment, and the more that we feel at ease and at peace and fulfillment, the more things are going to flow. All right. Well, that is all for tonight. We will be back together tomorrow for our secret teachings of Jesus. Until then, ciao.